So I found out about DeepSeek and I wanted to run it cost effectively. So using Control Plane, I'm going to log in. I already have an account. It takes a couple of seconds to create one. I can create a new global virtual cloud, which think of it as a VPC that can span any number of regions. I'll call it my AI cloud. You can call it whatever you want. And you can put it in one of multiple regions that you've enabled. So let me enable, let's say, Amazon US East. And of course, I can have multiple locations, but for this case, I just need one location. It takes a second to create. Now that I have my own global virtual cloud, again, you can think of it as a VPC that can stretch across regions, I can create the workload. Luckily, at Control Plane, we have a marketplace that gives you ready-made templates for things like Ollama, which I think allows you to run DeepSeek. So I can give it a name, like I'll call it my LLM. I can call it whatever I want, my DeepSeek. And it has a few containers. One is the UI, one is the API, and the API uses one T4. If I wanted more T4s, I can put more here. I can tell it how much initial capacity I need in terms of storage, what the retention policy is. I'm not going to make any changes. Of course, you can. And it will create the workload, the volume set, the secret, the policy, all the objects that are needed to run this particular application. So you can see here, this is my DeepSeek. That's the workload name that we gave it. And it's not ready because it has to pull the image for Ollama and it has to start running it. And it also has to create the volume set. And it also creates an identity which is required for the policy to be able to grant the workload access to the secret. So the workload assumes some identity and then a policy. And you can define all of those under policies and so on. But the template automates all of that so you don't have to manually go through it. Now, every object that you create, like the workload, you can view it as YAML or you can view it as Terraform. So here is the Terraform notation for that workload. Here is the YAML notation for the same workload, etc. Now the volume sets, here is the general purpose SSD, and we can see that the volume is bound, which means my workload should be coming up in a few seconds. And so assuming Amazon has enough, because we chose Amazon, if it has enough T4 capacity, our workload should be ready. And as you can see, the workload is indeed ready. And so all I have to do is open it, and it takes me to the UI, and it exposes it on a TLS HTTPS endpoint. I can also put it on a custom domain very, very easily. So I'll give it my name, my email. I'm Doron from Control Plane, and I'll give it a password. And now I should be able to create or load the model. And the way I do it is I think I go to admin. Let me see. If I go here, admin panel, and then in the admin panel, I go to settings, models, and I can manage models, and I can pull a model, which is Deepseek-r1, and you see it's pulling the manifest. And now, because this is running on AWS, it should have a pretty decent pipe, so it's doing it fairly quickly. So now that it's pulled the manifest, it's going to pull the actual model. And then when the model is pulled, we should be able to just send it requests. And it's important to note that while I'm using the UI, you can, of course, expose the API. And because Control Plane gives you the ability to use your own custom domain, you can have your own Doron GPT or Lisa GPT or Bob GPT, or you can call it whatever you want. But now that we're done, let's create a chat and say, how many cities are there in China? And now it's gonna do an inference using our T4, which is not the fastest, but it's not the slowest of GPUs. Of course, you can, on Control Plane, you can also bring your own compute. So if you have a RTX 3080 or 3090 or 4080, whatever, or if you have an H100, or if you want to use Oracle or some other cloud, Control Plane lets you do the same exact thing on any compute facility. So in our case, China has 82 million people. Population exceeds 82 million people across 3,400 cities. This count includes both major and smaller towns, with the number rising about 17,000 when considering all urban areas. Well, urban population is 82 million, so maybe they have another billion that are in rural areas. But anyway, that's DeepSeek, and that's how easy it is to run it on Control Plane. When we want to turn it off in Control Plane, I can go to my deployed apps, and I can see my DeepSeek is here, comprised of all of these things. I can just say, hey, let's uninstall it, and it cleans it all up, and I stop paying. So maybe we paid for, I don't know, 5 minutes. That should cost us close to not much at all, few cents, and we're done. So that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like it, visit us at controlplane.com, and would love to see what you would build with Control Plane. Thank you.